What's up, guys? So I've got a question, and this is kind of going to seem like an obvious question for some and less obvious for others, but can an iPad actually replace your laptop? And this is kind of going to sound like a cop-out answer, but it really depends on what you use a laptop for. So let's get started. Now, it probably comes as no surprise if you guys know how I feel about Apple products and tech in general. I have actively been trying to replace my laptop uses with an iPad for going on 3 years at this point, and especially with the new iPad OS in beta, I have never felt more confident in my efforts to do so. iPad OS has actually added a lot of things that power users and general users have been asking for such a long time, and it very well may be the push that some of these users needed to replace their main computers with iPads. But then why at the beginning of the video did I say it depends on how you use your laptop? Well, there's actually quite a few reasons, and the main ones are either the tasks you're using are too demanding, the files you're using are just not compatible, which is just, you can't really do anything about that, or in a worst case scenario, people aren't willing to try and learn new ways of doing these tasks in a different environment. And that last reason is something that we're going to talk about a bit later in the video, but for now, I want to talk about what actually does make the iPad a compelling laptop replacement. So this is going to be broken out essentially into 3 different reasons, and the first one is going to be portability. This one is pretty self-explanatory. The iPads are just so portable, and the amount of power that they pack into these very portable devices, especially including the iPad mini, the iPad Air, the standard iPad is pretty powerful, and of course the iPad Pro, it's just amazing. Like, these are devices that can literally outperform comparable tablet laptops like the Surface Pro and Go series, and they do that in a comparable or smaller size. So it's just pretty impressive how portable these things are, especially considering the battery life you get out of them, the features, the sheer performance. It's crazy. And when you look at the other competition, which we'll talk about in a bit, there's nothing really close at this point. And the second reason is laptop features that are made touch-friendly. Now, this category that I'm going to talk about leverages very heavily on iPad OS, not so much iOS 12. iPad OS is not actually out to the public yet, it's in beta, but this will become very applicable in about a month or two, so just keep that in mind. But these laptop features that were originally intended to be done with a mouse and keyboard, like multi-window support, file management, server access, or web browsing, making them touch-oriented actually gives you more of a fresh, fun, easy feel to it. And I feel like doing those tasks on a regular laptop has kind of lost its charm considering how common that sort of setup has become with a mouse and keyboard. So by moving these to a touch-oriented setup and making them good in a touch-oriented setup really does kind of make this feel like a reasonable laptop replacement, but in a different sort of twist. Now, the third and final reason is because of optimized app support. Now, before you go yelling at me in the comments, yes, I'm aware that macOS and Windows both have their own app store, but they are not nearly as robust as the iPad App Store, because this App Store is actually piggybacked off of the iPhone App Store, but you get apps made specifically for the iPad, and they're constantly adding new apps every single day. And with these apps being optimized to take full advantage of every piece of hardware inside of the iPads, you get a top-to-bottom experience that is just unmatched on any other platform because there are just too many hardware variables to take into account with Windows, even Mac OS. So by having a specific number of apps that run on a specific number of iPads, you get such a thorough level of optimization that you just can't find anywhere else. Things like Lightroom, LumaFusion, and the iWork suite are perfect examples. These bring power user features to a completely touch-oriented interface in just the most seamless way possible. And I've yet to find a modern iPad that they don't perform well on. I've tested them on the iPad Air, I've tested them on the Pro, the Mini, even the bog standard iPad, and they run flawlessly. So if these 3 things make the iPad such a compelling laptop replacement, then why aren't they just flying off the shelves? I mean, they're $350 for a starter and can run all the way up to $1,500 for something that is literally all-spec laptop. So why aren't they just taking over the laptop market and demolishing the competition? Well, there's a few reasons for that, and the main reasons that I've come across are petty reasons, legitimate reasons, and one very thought-provoking reason. The petty reason is pretty much the comment you find in every Apple video, which is, oh, it's an iPad, screw Apple, which I really have nothing for that. Like, there's really no compelling competition for the iPad right now. Google's offerings with the Pixel Slate were a joke. Samsung's offerings are premium priced and sold as new, but the hardware inside is like 2 to 3 years old, even though they advertise it as getting work done. You're not getting work done with that hardware, and if you are, it's going to be super laggy. And Google themselves have even said that they're not going to be optimizing Android for a tablet setup anymore, which means that everything is going to be pushed to Chrome OS, which I'll have my own video on Chrome OS and sort of the state of that little debacle, but that's not for this video, that's for later. So just writing off the iPad because you hate Apple, you're really actually doing yourself a disservice, considering that there aren't really any good options apart from that with Android and with any of the other competition. I say competition with air quotes because really the iPad is sort of its own category at this point. The legitimate reason is something that I had mentioned earlier, which is that some things just cannot be done on the iPad. And I'll use my own personal experience as an example because 90% of the work that I do can be done on an iPad, whether it comes to management stuff at my job, whether it comes down to writing the very script for this video, photo editing, some basic file management, checking emails. All of that stuff can be done super well and very efficiently on my iPad. But I really can't edit as quickly or as efficiently as I can on my main desktop setup. Like, period. I cannot do that. Like, if it comes down to editing in a pinch, I've edited things like the update series on my iPad. I even edited a handful of Ruby reviews and one of my One Punch Man reviews on my iPad. And it does it well, and because LumaFusion can leverage the hardware in such a way that makes it perform pretty reasonably, it's not the end of the world if I have to edit on there, but I just can't do it as efficiently as I can with a mouse and keyboard. That is a legitimate reason for having a laptop. And for people who have been editing on the iPad, who are significantly more brave, I guess, than I am, congratulations, like, you are doing something that I cannot do, period. So essentially in that category, the iPad is super close to replacing my laptop at least, but it's just not 100% there. It's going to take a lot more before it's 100% there. And lastly is the thought-provoking reason, which is people don't understand the difference between replacing your laptop with something different, like a tablet, and just buying another laptop that kind of looks like a tablet. The Surface series of products is a perfect example of this. They are really great devices that pack a ton of laptop-grade hardware into a tablet device, but at the end of the day, they're still a laptop. Everyone I've known who has ever bought anything from the Surface lineup has immediately gone and bought the keyboard case with it because Windows is not really well optimized for touch, if I'm completely honest. In fact, it is desperately lacking a lot of touch-oriented features that you find on even Google tablets, for God's sakes. They don't have touch-optimized apps. The few apps that they do have that are touch-optimized are games, and the original underpinnings for Windows as a whole is based on a mouse and keyboard interaction, and Windows has essentially just tried to slap on some sort of quick and easy fix for a touch interface, and it didn't really work. Like, you can navigate the apps and sort of navigate file browsing, but as soon as you open a program, it is completely mouse and keyboard based. What I've come to realize is that nobody buys a Surface to use it as a tablet. They buy it because they want a laptop, and they want to use a device like a laptop, but they want the portability of a tablet. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but if you're trying to say that you bought a tablet to replace your laptop, and then you attach a mouse and keyboard and use it like a laptop, did you actually buy a tablet? The difference when you buy an iPad versus buying a Surface is that when you buy the iPad, you can do all the same things you would on a regular laptop, but you don't do them in the same way that you would do them on a laptop. Everything is touch-oriented. You want to copy a file? There you go. How about typing a document? You can do it this way, or you can do it this way. You actually have quite a few options. What about watching YouTube while browsing the web and then you want to check in on an email or something? Well, ta-da, there you go. None of those things are how you would traditionally do them on a laptop, but they're not supposed to be. It's actually a different way of doing these tasks, and you do have to learn how to do these things. It's different from how you would do them on a laptop, but that doesn't mean it's bad. It just means that it's different. Look at it this way. I can buy a $500 Surface Go, and I say $500 because that's the only one that actually runs Windows okay. But then I have to immediately go and spend another $100 to $130 to get the type cover so that I can actually use all the features of the Surface. Now we've got the iPad Air. It still has a keyboard option, but if I wanted to, I could spend $500 on that, get a better overall performing experience, and just taking it out of the box, I can use every single feature that's advertised to do. But I don't have to buy those accessories to do them. It just works. Now, I can buy those accessories if I want to. I can buy the pencil, I can buy a keyboard, but I don't have to. They are options. They aren't mandatory like they are on the Surface. So at the end of the day, the iPad is much closer to replacing your laptop than it was when it started. Like, it was literally just a blown-up phone when it started. But it will never fully replace your laptop if you expect it to be a laptop. However, if you approach it as a different way of doing those laptop tasks, it is actually quite an enjoyable experience. So if you treat it like a laptop, you will never enjoy this. But if you treat it as an iPad and learn how to do these tasks in a different way, actually doing it in a way that would replace the way you do it on your laptop, yeah, this can absolutely replace your laptop. You just have to be willing to treat it like an iPad, not a laptop. Anyway, guys, that's been it. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe. Check out all the other links down below. Leave a comment letting me know what you guys want to see in the future. I've got a couple other ideas planned, and otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to be there and have a good one.